During the Siege of Terra, as many of us may know it, we acknowledge it as the great battle that underwent for the fate of the Imperium. The forces of chaos waging everything possible to overthrow the Emperor of Mankind, demigods of godlike figures waging war on a scale like no other, and god machines walking the grounds laying waste to everything in their wake. But some of the most grand stories amongst the Siege of Terra comes from the common soldier, one of which being requested today, Katsuhiro. Katsuhiro was a Terran-born citizen that lived the life of a bureaucrat long before the Siege of Terra, but when the war broke out, he was conscripted to partake in the defense of Terra. One might think that once being conscripted, he would receive some kind of ethical training, but he never received any kind of militaristic training, merely being assigned a post and a lasgun. Katsuhiro would be stationed at the Helios Gate, and here he would fend off against mutants, legionnaires, traitorous forces, almost anything that they could throw at him. Amidst one of these many battles, if not for the intervention of Jagatai Khan and the White Scars, he would have lost his life, but he would continue to fight on and go from a conscript to a hardened veteran. As he would continue fighting, it wasn't just experience with enemies from the outside that he would learn of. He would also come to learn that there were enemies within, as two Alpha Legion operatives would do their best to sabotage the defenses. And yet, despite everything that would occur, he would still survive the early stages at the Siege of Terra. Moving forward as the battle continued, Katsuhiro would eventually be placed again into a new district known as the Palatine Arc. Amidst this time period, he would experience biological warfare like no other, and you can imagine which legion was responsible for that. But once again, this civilian-turned-soldier would survive all odds and make it past this biological warfare-ridden zone. He would eventually move to Marmax's Bastion, where he would be placed under the command of a Blood Angels officer known as Baron. Amidst multiple assaults, the two would grow somewhat close, and eventually, sadly though, Baron would be grievously wounded. The Blood Angel of Baron would unfortunately eventually succumb to his wounds, and seeing as he was the senior authority at the defense, he needed to place somebody else in command, and he would choose none other than Katsuhiro for his strength and bravery. And quite frankly, what an excellent choice it was, as almost instantaneously after the passing of Baron, Katsuhiro would harden himself, taking command and issuing orders to establish order around the line. His experience and bravery would carry him to the latter stages of the Siege of Terra. With each battle, he would become more battle-hardened, even becoming a religious zealot at some point, claiming that the Emperor protects amongst all of his encounters. He would go on to meet important figures like that of Euphrates Keeler and Shiban Khan, and most importantly, his experience would carry him throughout all of the Siege of Terra, seeing it through the end. Surviving each and every encounter that he came across, originally starting as a civilian to a battle-hardened veteran, is nothing shy of a miracle. But it's these stories that I truly value amidst the grim darkness of the far future. The last that we would hear about this brave warrior is that Katsuhiro, after surviving the Siege of Terra, would return to his homeland where he was born. But every battle and encounter that he was a part of amidst a handful of different novels was something that I found to be incredible and somewhat inspiring, as you get to see this almost coward-like figure turn into the brave soldier that he eventually became. But let me know what you guys think, and maybe if you have another hero that you would like to talk about. Thanks as always guys for listening, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Drop a comment if there's anything you guys want to hear about next, and as always, remember to follow for more.